Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to learn how to make these super cute crochet shorts. They're well fitted, so stay tuned for the whole tutorial. Make sure you watch this tutorial all the way from beginning to end, because at the end of the video you'll be having yourselves a well fitted crochet pair of shorts. So for the materials, I used this yarn. This yarn is called Gull. It is 100% acrylic and it's a light fingering weight yarn, and I will be doubling the strand to get a thicker feel of the yarn. So if you have a DK weight yarn, don't double the yarn. For the amount of yarn, I'll be putting it on the screen so that you can see how many balls that you'll be using depending on what type of yarn that you're going for. So another material that you will need is a 4mm crochet hook. You also need a darning needle, a measuring tape, a pair of scissors. I have mine here. And yeah, if you would like the written pattern, it's already available on all my online shops, and I'll be leaving the links in the description box below. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and let's get started. Alright, so to start off our project, we're going to start with a slip knot. You're going to get your 4mm crochet hook and create your slip knot. And you're going to make a chain that can wrap around your hips comfortably well when stretched. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'm going to continue chaining. Alright, so I've started off with a chain of 140 chains, and this can stretch to 38 inches, which is my intended hip circumference. So you're going to make sure that your chain is not twisted, and you're going to slip stitch into the very first chain. Make sure your chain is not twisted and slip stitch. So insert your hook into the very first chain and yarn over, pull through all. That is going to form a round, as you can see here. And then from here, you're going to make a chain of 1 and half double crochet into the very first stitch. You're going to continue to half double crochet in each and every chain around. So yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all, sorry. That's a half double crochet in the US terms. So you're going to continue to half double crochet in each and every chain around your starting chain. Sorry for the noise, there's some welding work going on in the neighborhood. Okay, so we're coming to the end of round 1, and as you can see, we have a few more chains left. And I'm placing my very last half double crochet into the very last chain of the round. And that marks the end of round 1. For this particular design, we're not going to be turning our work to work in the opposite direction of the previous round. We're just going to continue working around and around. So at this point, you will need a stitch marker. Let me get mine real quick and we continue. All right, so here is my stitch marker. When you come to the end of the round, as you can see, we've placed a half double crochet into the very last chain. You're going to go into the very first half double crochet of the round, and you're going to place a half double crochet. That will be the very first stitch of your new round. You just place a half double crochet there and then mark that stitch with a stitch marker. So that's our very first stitch of the new round. So basically right now we are working on round 2. You're going to just continue to place 1 half double crochet in each and every stitch all the way around until we come back to this point where we've placed the stitch marker. And you should notice that you're working in the same exact direction as the previous round. So just keep going, placing 1 half double crochet in each and every stitch until you get back to the stitch marker that you just placed. So the effect that this is going to create will be seen later on, but for now we can't see the effect that's created by working in the same direction as the previous round. As our work keeps building, you'll see how our stitches will appear very perfect and close to each other. So let me go around and I'll meet you back towards the end of the round. Alright guys, we've made it all the way around to the end of round 2, and I'm placing my very last half double crochet into the last stitch before the stitch marker. You're going to remove the stitch marker and then place a half double crochet in that stitch that had the stitch marker, and this is our very first half double crochet of round 3. You're going to replace the stitch marker into that first stitch of round 3 and then continue going, placing one half double crochet in each and every stitch around. So you can see how we are not creating a seam line at the back of the shorts or anywhere at all. We are just going in rounds. The stitch marker is the only thing that can help us trace the beginning of each and every round. So you're going to just keep repeating round 2 again and again until you get a specific number of inches. I will recommend a number of inches that you should grow to all the way from here until the level where we have to split the legs to create the pants or the shorts. So keep working round 2 and I'll meet you back when my short or pants have grown to that level where we need to split the legs to do the leg hole shaping. So we've reached the end of the round. As you can see, the stitch marker is here in the very first stitch, and I've placed a half double crochet in the stitch before the stitch marker. That means this marks the end of this round. Just follow the measurements on the screen so that we get the same exact look for our pants. So after your last stitch, this is where we are, and you're going to remove your stitch marker here and go into that stitch that had the stitch marker with a slip stitch, just like that. This marks the end of this round. Now we're going to go ahead and split the leg holes so that we work on one side first and then come back to the other side later on. Alright, so you're going to count the number of stitches that you have all the way around the bottom of your pants, and you're going to split that number into 2. So you're going to place a stitch marker in the exact middle of the opposite side, and then you're going to make a chain that splits the leg holes. I'll be recommending a number of chains for the different sizes. Make sure your chain is not very tight because we are going to come back and work into those chains. So from here you're going to make a slip stitch into the stitch with a stitch marker on the opposite end, and then you can remove this stitch marker at this point. Now we have separated the leg holes, as you can see here. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and work on one side of the pants. We're going to first work on one side and then we shall come back and work on the second side. So after your slip stitch, you're going to turn so that you're working on the right side of the work, not the wrong side. So you're going to just make a chain of 1 and make sure it's tight, and then go into each and every chain with 1 half double crochet. So that's the reason why I was telling you not to make your chain very tight, because we are going to work on it. Make sure you're still working in the same direction as the previous rounds of your pants. And then as you work, make sure you get your stitch marker and mark your very first stitch, just like we were doing before. So mark your first stitch of the round and then continue to half double crochet in each and every chain. Alright, when you get to the end of the chain, you'll have something that looks like this. Now you're going to go into each of the next stitches with one half double crochet and continue to do that all the way around without creating a seam line. Don't forget, we're not going to have a seam line for this project. So you just keep working around and around without turning, without creating slip stitches, nothing like that. So go all the way around and I'll meet you back at the stitch marker on this end. So that means we've started working on one side of the pants. This is the side that we've started with. We're going to keep working until we get the length of the pants that we want, and then we shall come back to the opposite side and also work on it, balancing what we have on this side. So keep working until you get to the stitch marker and I'll show you what to do next. Alright guys, we've made it all the way around, and make sure your work is not twisted. I'm placing my last half double crochet in the last stitch before the stitch with the stitch marker. Now I'm going to remove my stitch marker, put it aside, and then go into the very first half double crochet of the round with a half double crochet. This will be the very first half double crochet of the next round, and then you're going to mark it with a stitch marker. So from now on, we're just going to keep working around and around, building one side of the pants, just like we've been doing for the body, the upper body, before splitting the legs. So just continue with one half double crochet into each and every stitch all the way around. So when you come here, you know exactly what to do. You remove the stitch marker and replace it with a half double crochet, and then move the stitch marker into the new round and keep working again and again. Alright, I've gone ahead to do a total of 5 rounds on this side, and that's the length of the short that I want before the edging. So I'll remove the stitch marker in the next stitch and place a slip stitch there. So that marks the end of one side of the shorts, and we're going to create an edging at the base. So to do that, you're going to make a chain of 4, skip the next stitch and 1 double crochet into the next. The chain of 4 counts as a double crochet chain 1. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, double crochet into the next, and repeat that all the way around. Chain 1, skip 1 stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and you're going to create this beautiful mesh pattern at the base of the shorts. So we've made it all the way around, and I'm still chaining 1, skip the next stitch, 1 double crochet into the next stitch, and then when you come to the end you're going to make a chain of 1. If you have a stitch left, skip it, and then you're going to place a slip stitch into the 3rd chain of the first chain 4 of the round. So this is what you'll have. You'll have created a mesh pattern around the base of the shirts. And now we're going to make a chain of 1. Into the first chain 1 space you're going to place 1 single crochet, chain 3, and 3 more double crochets into the same space to create a scallop. And then you're going to skip the next chain 1 space, and into the next you're going to place a single crochet. Let's do that again. Chain 3, 3 double crochets into the same space, 1, 2, and 3. Skip the next chain 1 space and then single crochet into the next, just like that. So keep doing that all the way around, creating these beautiful scallops at the base of the shirts to create a beautiful edging. Skip the next chain 1 space and single crochet into the next. After this you're going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet of the round, make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn, pull through. This marks the end of the very first side of our shirts, and we are going to go ahead and work on the second side. So you have to attach your yarn so that you're working on the right side of your shirts. So I'll attach my yarn somewhere here in any stitch. You can attach in any stitch, and we're going to create our second leg hole, or we are going to build on it to create coverage for the shirts downwards. So half double crochet in that very stitch, and then place your stitch marker into the first stitch, just like we've been doing for the opposite side, and then half double crochet in each of the next stitches. So right now we are going onto the chain that we created in the middle. Just go into each and every chain and place a half double crochet. Just like this. Alright, so when you come towards the end of the chain, you're just going to go onto the body of the shirts and continue to just half double crochet in each and every stitch all the way around. So from now on, we're going to just go back to our previous process of just keeping to work in rounds like this without creating a seam line until we have the same exact number of rounds before as the opposite side before we started creating the mesh pattern. So for this side I did a total of 5 rounds and then started creating the mesh pattern. I'm going to go ahead and work 5 rounds on this side as well, and then I'll go ahead and create the mesh pattern as well as the scallops, just like I've done on the first side, and then I'll show you what everything will look like after that. So don't forget to make use of your stitch marker, because it's going to help you determine which row you're at. So this is round 1, and then I need 4 more rounds before I start the mesh pattern as well as the scallops. Alright guys, we are done with both sides of our leg holes, and this is what our shorts look like right now. We have this extension in the middle, and we have the scallops on both edges. Now we're going onto the waistband of the shorts. You're going to turn your work so that the beginning of round 1 is at the back, this chain here. And we are going to create a ribbing at the top of the shorts, just a short distance of around 3 rounds. You're going to start off with a slip knot and attach your yarn in the middle of any 2 half double crochets. So I'll go here and then make a chain of 2, which counts as our very first double crochet. Now you're going to go into the next half double crochet and place a front post double crochet, and then a back post double crochet into the next stitch. And we're going to keep alternating between front post and back post double crochet into the next stitch. So for our front post, you yarn over, insert your hook, push the next stitch to the front, and then double crochet as usual. And then for a back post, you yarn over, go to the back, push that stitch to the back like this, and then double crochet as usual. We're going to keep alternating between front post and back post double crochet all the way around. And I think you can already see the ribbed effect that is being created right now for the waistband. Alright, we've made it all the way around, and we've placed a front post double crochet in the next stitch, and then I'll place 1 back post double crochet into the very last stitch. And then you're going to go into the top of the first chain 2 and place a slip stitch. So that marks the end of round 1 of the waistband. You can see how the ribbing is already forming. If you're to look closely, we already have a ribbing on the waistline of the pants or the shorts. So we're going to make a chain of 2, and then in this round, the second round of the waistband, we are going to place a front post in each front post and a back post in each back post. So where you see a front post double crochet, place a front post double crochet, and where you see a back post, place a back post. The back post double crochets are going to be towards the back of the shirt, and then the front post double crochets are going to be popping at the front of the shorts. So just align your stitches, and I'll meet you back at the end of this round. We're just making the waistband a little bit thicker by doing this, and so that we can get where to place our drawstring. So front post in each front post and back post in each back post double crochet all the way around. When you make it all the way around, slip stitch on top of the first chain 2 of the round, and then chain 2, and then do the same exact process as the previous round. So we went a total of 3 rounds for the waistband. This is our second, and then we have to do a third, and then we shall come back and see what everything looks like. Alright guys, we ended up doing a total of 3 rounds for the waistband, and that's the thickness that I got, about 1 inch, but you can go ahead and do as many rounds as you wish for your thickness of the waistband to be. And then you're going to separately make a chain. Mine is here. You're going to just make a slip knot and make a normal chain long enough to wrap around your waistline and even beyond. I did a total of 200 chains, and I'm going to weave this into the waistband of my shorts. Just thread it into the darning needle, and then you're going to locate the front middle section of the shorts, which is here for me, and I'm going to go in and out of every 2 stitches around the shorts. In and out of every 2 stitches, just like that, and you're going to do that all the way around. Alright guys, this is what our piece looks like when we put the drawstring into the middle round of the waistband. This is going to be something that adjusts the waistband of our shorts so that they can fit perfectly well. And then you can tie a knot here. You can even go ahead to attach tassels or beads at the ends of the drawstring, but I'm not going to do that. And at this point the shorts are ready. Let's see the final look. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things, because it helps me a lot, and it also motivates me to push out new tutorials every other time. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.